Ugas makes it clear that as he gets past Errol Spence, that he wants to unify for Undisputed with Terrence Crawford. That's always a good sign. It's a good sign of a game opponent. And Errol Spence better know that when Ugas comes in there, he's coming in there to win. Like I said, it's a lot on the line. It's not like this is an easy fight. And this is a hell of a fight coming off of a layoff and coming off an eye injury. So I do recognize that, and I do have to give him credit for that. However, that's not really what I want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is the attitude in which you see that Ugas has towards fighting Terrence Crawford. See, a lot of people give Earl a lot of shit, and a lot of people think that it's unfair, and it's really not unfair. The only thing that Errol Spence ever had to do is conduct himself in a certain way to let people know that you are headed towards Terrence Crawford. But every time he speaks, when he's talking about his itinerary with Al Heyman, or even when they're posting up the pictures of the welterweights that he will go up against, they don't include Terrence Crawford. It's this reluctancy to notice Terrence Crawford, to acknowledge that he is a champion, and to acknowledge that this is the guy that that you're going to make your money with. This is your ultimate dancing partner. This is where the road ends. This is where it determines who's what and who's who and how great you're going to be. Errol Spence has purposely ignored this, not paid any attention to it, tried to downplay it, walk out in interviews, walk out during fights, just flat out not acknowledge it. And that's where he has his new nickname, which he'll never be able to live down, Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? And shouts out to the creator for that. But that's how he got that name right now. How do you go from Boogeyman to Errol Spence? It has to do with the way he's been conducting himself and how he handles it when just being asked the question about Terrence Crawford. Now, I'm going to leave the link to this article in the description box. You guys can go and check it out for yourself. But one thing that I do want to notice, just look at the first line. Look at the first line in this article. And what does it tell you? It says Ugas wants to fight the undefeated Terrence Crawford, unlike 31-year-old Errol Spence. That should say it all. At least coming from my point of view, at least what I've been saying about Errol Spence. It's not just a perception that I put out here to the world and try to convince other people that this is what's going on. He's painted the picture as somebody who wants no parts of Terrence Crawford from top to bottom. The only thing he ever had to do, really, was speak like Ugas spoke. Okay? Now, Terrence Crawford ain't been on his radar nowhere near as long as Errol Spence, and yet he has enough in himself because of his intent and what he plans to do. He told you that, look, right after this fight, I want him. Has Errol Spence ever even got close to even saying anything like that, instead of just acknowledging what he can't do? The only thing that Errol Spence wanted you to acknowledge was somebody is across the street, somebody needs to get paid less, somebody don't sell good, somebody don't need to show up to somebody's fights. I'm not worried about them, and telling you about his ranch. So at what point, when I'm pointing out that this dude has been acting, walking, talking like he don't want no parts of Terrence Crawford, what part about that is fabricated? Is it not amplified by the actions of Errol Spence? And Yordenis Ugas just proved it by simply coming out saying, look, if I get past him, I want him next. Nothing stopped Errol Spence from saying that next. Nothing. Hey, look, if I get past Ugas, Terrence Crawford, you up next. Instead, he swerved to Ugas, swerving from Terrence Crawford. You know, it makes no sense with Errol Spence. For somebody in the beginning to be called the boogeyman, and to start off the way he started off, being called the truth, being called the guy that went to war with Mayweather in the gym, that's why I say I don't believe that shit. Because a person would be eager to show it and prove it. And so far, he's proved he's everything but the opposite of what's been put out there. Now, what's stopping Errol Spence from saying the same thing? After I beat Ugas, Terrence Crawford, it's that time. Let's get it. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? Give people a little something to sit on so they can have a little bit of patience with you. But other than that, you just flat out not want to acknowledge him, period. You don't want to acknowledge his belt. You want to say he's across the street. You want to say, hey, you got to accept whatever I give you. Oh, I'm not worried about you. I'm buying horses. And all that other shit. It's just unacceptable at the end of the day from a guy who calls himself a prize fucking fighter. If you are a prize fucking fighter, and let's say you don't give a fuck about legacy or whatever and whatnot, if you're a prize fucking fighter, how do you not recognize that this guy is your biggest payday? And even Errol Spence said that when a reporter asked him. He said, besides being across the street, besides this, besides that, don't you want to fight Terrence Bud Crawford? It's a big money fight. But, okay, so if it's a big money fight, then can you at least be about the money then? You know what I'm saying? But don't be too much about the money, because then you're going to be talking about splits and all that. And just like people were saying on Twitter, it's the same shit. I see if he do beat Ugas, it's going to be more low balling, so Terrence Bud Crawford don't take the fucking fight. Okay? Now see, people like John Boots Ennis, he's already said, he said, I'm going to take whatever offer they give me because I'm hungry. So you're not going to be able to lowball that kid. You can lowball, he going to take whatever you throw his way. Terrence Crawford ain't going to do it, but John Ennis will. So it's like I said, the walls is closing in and everybody want a piece of you. So at this point, it's put up and shut up time. But it just goes to show you once again, just later on, how Ugas basically made Errol Spence look even more like a fool by coming out saying, leave Errol Spence alone. Made him look soft as shit. You know what I'm saying? Once again, he making him look bad by being able to call out Terrence Bud Crawford before he even comes to his conclusion of fight with Errol Spence. Either he knows this is where I need to go next, and everybody know that's where he needs to go next. But yet we got to hear, leave him alone. He's just collecting belts. He's just collecting this. How come Ugas can say something that Errol Spence couldn't say, and Errol Spence had more than enough time to Ben say the same thing that Ugas said? You know what I'm saying? But this just landed on Ugas' plate, and he's letting you know ahead of time, if I get past Errol, I'm going to Terrence Bud Crawford, no doubt. But you can't get this shit out of Errol Spence. You can't make this shit up at the end of the day. I'm out.